Hello and welcome to Lions Lineup. I'm your host, Joe Vasile, and I'm joined here today by Brandon McGowan and Harrison Durr. And on today's show, we're going to be answering the top 10 burning questions in the NFL at the quarter mark. We'll start with number 10. And Harrison, will the Denver Broncos go undefeated, currently 5-0?
No, they will not. This week, the Cowboys recently showed that the Broncos are capable of losing games. They only beat Dallas by 3 points. Also, history is not on their side. Since 1934, only 4 teams have gone undefeated. And of all those 4 teams, only one played in 16 games, and that was obviously the 2007 New England Patriots. But I just don't see it happening. They also have to play Indianapolis, New England, and Kansas City on the road in the next couple of weeks, so it's not looking good for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think they're going to go undefeated, and because of that, they have to play the Chiefs twice, and the Chiefs are for real this year. I mean, they're 5-0, and they have to play Kansas City on the road once. In Kansas City, that's one of the loudest and toughest stadiums to play in, and Manning is a quarterback of audibles, and it's going to be hard to get those audibles and for his offensive line to hear them, and it's going to come down to the defense. The defense is the best for defending the run, in terms of yards per game, but the worst in yards per game for defending the pass. And when you play teams like the Patriots with Tom Brady, he's just going to pick apart that defense, and they might lose because of that.
All right, moving right along to question number 9. Is Terrell Pryor the answer to the quarterback situation in Oakland? Brandon, we'll start with you this time.
I say no. I mean, he looks good right now, but I just don't think that he's the quarterback who's going to turn this entire franchise around, and mainly because he is he's a running threat quarterback, and they just don't really seem to pan out. It's to be franchise quarterbacks. You look at this year with Colin Kaepernick. Everyone thought he was going to be the quarterback in San Fran, and he still might. It just doesn't look good this year. It's quarterbacks like Andrew Luck, like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, pocket passers who turn franchises around and take them far.
Okay. I actually disagree. I do believe he's the answer. For one, the Raiders are showing a lot of confidence in him by releasing Matt Flynn this past week. So he's their guy, and I think he's got a lot more potential than their last couple quarterbacks. They've had Jason Campbell, Carson Palmer, Jamarcus Russell. None of those guys really panned out. And this year alone, Terrell Pryor, he's got the 8th best quarterback rating right now. He's ahead of Matthew Stafford, Andrew Luck, Jay Cutler, of course, and he's also got the 6th best completion rate for quarterbacks. He's rushed for the 3rd most yards in terms of quarterbacks, and he looks like he's the real thing, and I have faith in him.
Well, we're going to have to wait till next year to see, because if, say, he finishes out strong this year, it's all going to come down to next year. I mean, so far, RG3 and Colin Kaepernick, they so far have not been living up to what they did last year, and I just don't think he's going to be able to do it in years to come.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
All right, question number 8. At 0-5, did the New York Giants have a chance at coming back and winning a weak NFC East?
Well, this personally hurts me being a Giants fan, of course, but honestly, they do not. There's so much wrong with this team. I don't even know where to begin. For one, the clubhouse is divided. I mean, Justin Tuck had to flat out and come out and say, if anyone is going against my coach, Tom Coughlin, I'm going to punch him in the face. And when you have that in week 5, it's not, obviously, things are not panning out for the team. Obviously, Eli Manning, he's leading the league in interceptions. The Giants are leading the league in turnovers. They don't have a running back, and even when they do have a running back on the field, he can't hold on to the ball. So nothing is going right. The defense, last game alone, Justin Tuck and Jason Pierre-Paul got hurt, and I don't see this team winning the NFC East at all.
Yeah, same here. I said that it's very, very slim that they do, but I think if they lose one more game, it's completely over. They have too many injuries. They turn the ball over too much, like you said. And just with the way Dallas played last week and with the Eagles, I think it's going to come down to those 2 teams. New York, they don't have a shot anymore.
Agreed.
All right, and talking about teams that have something wrong with them, how about the Houston Texans, one of the best teams in the AFC last year, really struggling here early, Brandon?
It's not because of the defense. The defense is one of the best in the league, leading again, in defending the run and the pass really well. But it's their offense. It's Matt Schaub. He just throws too many interceptions. He has more interceptions than TDs. When you have that, and they're not scoring a lot of points. They scored 30-plus points in the first 2 weeks. After that, they only broke 10 points once. They're just turn the ball over too much, and they're just not scoring points.
I there's so much wrong with that team. I mean, Matt Schaub, he's always been a game manager for them. That's always been his role, and he can't even do that anymore. I mean, he's in the top, I think, 3 or 4 in interceptions for quarterbacks, and something that's always been an asset for them that's turning into a liability is their defense. Their defense has given up, on average, 28 points per game, and that's good for 8th worst in the league. So I don't know what Wade Phillips is doing with that defense. It was supposed to be better with the addition of Ed Reed, but clearly that's not the case this year.
Yeah, well, they're still good right now, but you're right. They aren't, going in the positive direction.
No,
but,
not at
as
all.
of right now, they're still. That's what's keeping them, at least so far. And I think if anything, going to turn that season around, it's going to be Matt Schaub stop throwing picks, and it's going to be the defense, which has to step up and just continue to be good.
All right, shifting gears a little bit. The NFC North has 3 teams, all very close to each other. Guys, who do you think is going to come out right now, just looking at how the teams have played so far?
I'm going with Green Bay still. That was my prediction before the season started, and I'm still confident in them. Aaron Rodgers still having another great year. He's got a quarterback rating of 105.5. And in the division, the Packers are 6-1 against all 3 teams since 2010. So obviously you got to win your divisional games to have an edge in your division, and the Packers are taking care of that. And then there's a lot of question marks, I think, in the other cities as well. One, can Calvin Johnson stay healthy? Who's going to play quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings? They just picked up Josh Freeman, so they're going to go with him, Christian Ponder. There's a lot of controversy there. And then even with the Bears, Brandon Marshall, he doesn't really seem happy right now. He's always been a bit of a head case. This is his 3rd team already, and, he's still a relatively young receiver. And Jay Cutler, he's not necessarily a level-headed guy as well, so it'll be really interesting to see how it'll unfold.
Yeah, I said this is probably one of the toughest questions right now, and one of the toughest divisions to even have a winner at week 5. But I have to go with Detroit Lions just because Green Bay. I think they're still going to be in it to the very end because of Aaron Rodgers, because of the things he can do and he's shown over the years. But I don't think he's as clutch as he used to be in the 4th quarter, and that might hurt them. And also the injury to Clay Matthews. He's probably going to miss a month. And that defense is going to be hurting without them. And the Lions, you're right, it's going to be the key with Calvin Johnson, whether he can stay healthy, and I think he will. I think he'll come back and be that offensive threat that he's always been. And I just think the Lions have the edge right now over the Bears and Green Bay for that division.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the top 5 questions right after this. All right, and welcome back to Lions Lineup. I'm Joe Vasile, joined by Harrison Durr, Brandon McGowan, and we're getting ready for the top 5 questions now through week 5. We've already done numbers 6 through 10. Number 5 is, can the 49ers bounce back to win the NFC West over the Seattle Seahawks? What do you think, Brandon?
It's going to be very tough. They definitely have a shot. Because the defense, everyone's right now talking about the Seattle defense, one of the best defenses in the league. But right now, the 49ers are actually ranked above them in allowing the yards per game. It's very slim. It's about a yard, but their defense is just as good as Seattle, and it's going to come down to the quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Colin Kaepernick. If Kaepernick can stay in the pocket more and throw more passes, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. But I still think Seattle has the edge.
Okay. I'm going to disagree. I think Seattle has it locked in. You talked about how their defenses are very similar with yards per games, but Seattle's actually gotten 15 takeaways, while San Francisco's only had 9. So that's obviously a big difference. A big loss for the 49ers defense with Alden Smith and this whole issue with the DUI. They have no idea when he's coming back. He's always been a leader on that defense. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they can move on without him. Going back to the quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, his quarterback rating is about 10 points higher this year. He's rushed for more yards, and I just think the Seahawks, they really are a complete team. And in terms of talking about playing on home, they haven't lost at home since December 24th, 2011, and that's unbelievable. And it just, I don't think anyone's beating them right now.
And I know I talked earlier about Kaepernick not being the quarterback he was last year, but I just think that he has been there last year. He went all the way to the Super Bowl last year. He can dig down deep and find out what he did last year, and I think he can translate that into turning the season around and coming back to beat Seattle. So I think it's going to be very interesting.
It should be interesting. And speaking of interesting and turning the season around, will the Jacksonville Jaguars win a game this year?
I might be alone on this one here, but I'm going to say yes. I know they are obviously one of the worst teams in the league, and when the season ends, they probably will be the worst team in the league. But history is on their side. Since the NFL ever started, we've only had one 0-16 team, the 2008 Detroit Lions. So that's good for them. And they won 2 games last year with Maurice Jones-Drew only playing in 5 games. So if they have Maurice Jones-Drew throughout the entire season, then they definitely have a chance, even though Blaine Gabbert clearly has shown he's not the best quarterback in the league by no means.
Yeah, no, I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to say no, they don't win a game this season. They just look awful. I mean, they only have 51 points at the first 5 games. That's second to last. I mean, that's just awful. And they lead the league in punts. They just keep giving the ball back to the other team, and you can't win when you score, very few points, and you're just not holding onto the ball and not, scoring touchdowns or even, field goals. They're just giving the ball back to the team way too much. And their schedule, they just play too many teams who just can win, against the Jaguars. The only teams I think they can maybe beat are possibly the Browns, if the Browns end up, being the Browns of old and collapsing, and Buffalo, Week 16. But besides that, I don't see a team, who they're going to beat with the offense and even the defense that they have.
Yeah. The great thing about the NFL, though, is it's very unpredictable. That one year when the Packers went 15-1, their loss was to the Kansas City Chiefs, who were a losing team that season. So, the unpredictability factor, I think, definitely favors the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think at most they'll win maybe 2 games, but I definitely think they'll get that 1 win in the bag.
Yeah, I think 2 is being very generous. I think 1 win would make that season, a success.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first. Blaine Gabbert, not a very good quarterback. Number 3, are the Kansas City Chiefs for real?
Oh, yeah. No, they're for real, and I have them going very deep into the playoffs too. Alex Smith is just a very smart quarterback, a good game manager, and they have Andy Reid, who is a great coach. I've no doubt why he was picked up so early by Kansas City. He's just knows how to manage an offense. He did many years in Philadelphia, and they also have Jamal Charles, who leads the team in rushing and receiving. If you have that dual threat for your running back, that offense just looks really good right now.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, Alex Smith, I think, is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the league. Since 2011, he's been 24-5, and he handled the whole controversy last year with Jim Harbaugh beautifully, and I think that says a lot about his character. And, if I'm on the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm very confident having Alex Smith as a leader. Andy Reid, going back to that, he's just a winning presence. 6 NFC championships in his tenure as the Philadelphia Eagles coach. I think he just brings a whole new dynamic to the Chiefs that they just haven't seen. Their defense, they're tied in the league with Seattle with 15 takeaways, and I definitely think they're good enough to be a wild card team.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
All right, now changing gears just a little bit. Peyton Manning's gotten off to a lightning fast start this season. Will he break Tom Brady's touchdown record of 50 in a single season?
I said yes, absolutely. Right now he's on pace to get 64 touchdowns for the season. Everyone going in talked about the dynamic trio of Wes Welker, Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, and they've been great. I mean, Wes Welker is leading the league with receiving touchdowns with 7, but Julius Thomas, this guy came out of nowhere, the tight end, and he has 6 touchdown catches. Second in the league, and the only person in front of him, his own teammate, Wes Welker. So as long as everyone stays healthy and Peyton Manning keeps fairly distributing the ball, which is something he's always been phenomenal with, I really think he'll break that record.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you said, he's on pace for 64. I don't think he'll get 64. He'll probably get, mid, to even high 50s. But he already has more touchdowns than Tom Brady had through Week 5 in that 2007 season. He has 4 more, and he looks great. When he needs a touchdown against Dallas, where they were down by 7 with 7 minutes left, he just charged down the field, and he has the weapons of the receivers to do it, and he will. I'll say right now, he will break that record.
And let's also not forget, it was Peyton Manning's record that Tom Brady broke in that 2007
absolutely.
season. So it's not like he's never been in that kind of territory before. Move on to our number 1 question. Of course, one that I'm sure is on the minds of just about everyone. If you had to pick today, who would be your Super Bowl champion, Brandon?
Denver Broncos. They just look really, really good right now. If anything, the only thing I think that might stop them is their defense, but I think their defense will tighten up and be able to take them far into the playoffs. They have Peyton Manning, who, like I just said, will probably and most definitely break that touchdown record. And I don't see a team out there that can stop them right now.
All right. I was considering picking Denver, but in the end, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. I just think they are one of, if not the most complete team in the league. They have a top 5 running back. They have a top-tier defense. Russell Wilson is one of the more complete quarterbacks in the league. And just they've proven they can play in tough atmospheres. Last postseason, they won in they won in D.C., and then they went to Atlanta and only lost by 2. And if not for a late second Matt Bryant field goal, they would have won in Atlanta. And then in terms of playing at home, they're the best. I said earlier that they haven't lost at home since December 24th, 2011, and they really are the 12th man on that field. And I just think when they get to the playoffs, they're just going to be deadly.
All right, so you heard it here first. Denver Broncos, Seattle Seahawks. It'll be interesting to see how everything unfolds over the last 3 quarters of the season. And that just about wraps things up here for this edition of Lions Lineup. Remember, if you'd like to join LTV or if you'd like to get in contact with us, email us at ltv@tcnj.edu. And you can like us on Facebook and also follow us on Twitter. For Brandon McGowan and Harrison Durr, I'm Joe Vasile. Have a good one.